everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps the channel out. You can become a member of the channel. Just currently live, people are watching the members only Hot 20 rolling draft. You guys and girls who aren't members can still watch that. There'll be a once a month for you. They get like a more in-depth one and things like that. So just a bit of a members benefit there if you are interested in the draft content. There'll be a lot of draft content leading up to the draft there, so you can get really familiar with the players and impress people down the pub or at work over the water cooler with your knowledge. But today what we're doing is like a mid-season, like, little vibe check, I think, on Carlton and the AFL. So I thought what we'll do is we'll get straight into it, and I've broke this down into a couple of, like, you know, little passages, if you will, of how the season's gone and where we are and what's happening, really. What's going on? What's going on? So let's get straight into it. And what is the football style? The football style, so of my Blues, to be honest. And I don't know about you guys and girls. I've really enjoyed it. I think that we saw Voss flirt with it in the first 2 years of being like a back half team, and it makes sense. We are fairly strong there. And I've kind of liked the way that we've gone from such a rigid defensive side, but also a rigid kind of stoppage side to a more dynamic, free-flowing, excitable side. And I really like that, and I think that the results have shown. I think it's more conducive with winning a flag. I think it's more conducive with playing good football. When I look at the teams that are at the top, or who I consider the better sides in the AFL, your Sydney's most certainly, your Geelongs, you can see it's really poignant, your ability to score off turnover, particularly in the defensive half of the ground. And with Carlton's fixture list, I think I've been pleasantly surprised of how they've kind of adapted that game style in a scenario where maybe you would have been forgiven if you thought Carlton would have struggled. And I think that's a real big tick for me, that we haven't strayed back to what we know. I have noticed with the Blues, particularly last year and the year before, when we had that great start and then it started to get a little bit tough towards finals, there is a tendency to go to what we know, and that is to be a bit more slow, a bit more stodgy in the middle, man up a little bit more deeper. I like the fact that Voss has stuck to the guns, has put the trust in and the faith in what he knows with the boys, and played this progressive game style. And I think that this will hold us in good stead. I do also think the boys are enjoying it more. I certainly am enjoying watching Carlton football games a little bit more, which it doesn't take much for me, because even if we play a slow, methodical, stodgy game, I'll still enjoy it. But I think it's a little bit more easy on the eye, and it does make me excited to watch. So, big tick there for me. Now, let's look at the results. Now, my ladder at this stage, I did the game by game. And you know what? To be honest, I didn't do too badly. I did have Carlton 9-4 at this stage, which is pretty exciting. To be honest, I had Sydney were third, Collingwood was second, Carlton were fifth in this stage. I had GWS there, I had Port there. I did get a couple wrong though. That was Essendon and Fremantle. I had Fremantle bottom at this stage, and Essendon 15th. How wrong can you be? But aside from that, I'm pretty chuffed that I think we did. I knew Sydney were going to be good. I've been hot on Sydney for the last 2 years. Probably not as good as I thought. I did have Brisbane a little bit better. But for us, most certainly, it's quite funny, because the games that we dropped in real life, I had winning. But I got the same output. So I'm pleasantly surprised, because I did talk about, I thought Carlton's fixture list was quite difficult, and it wasn't going to be like an 8-1 start and things like that. Don't get excited. I think it was going to be a grind, and we were going to build towards the back end of the season, which really excites me, because the back half of the season we'll come on to, but I was really bullish, and I still am, and I still think even the most negative Carlton fan is quite bullish on the back end of the year from what we've seen. Obviously, we have to talk about them losses, haven't we? And the losses, I mean, it hasn't bit us. You've only got to look at the ladder. The ladder never lies. Voss says that, and I agree. I think you've only got to look at the ladder and see that percentage is fairly healthy in that 8. It's by no means the worst. It's not anything to be scared about, particularly with how other sides have played. You know, Carlton currently have, the third best percentage inside the 8. So that's pretty good. Third or fourth. So that's pretty positive. You want to be in the top 4 of that stat. And we've got a run home now, which is the easiest of them 8 sides, which is, again, refreshing. And that's based on current ladder position. So that is strong. But them losses, they are the most Carlton losses you ever see, aren't they? I mean, let's digest them. The Adelaide one is a real interesting one for me. It's one of them ones that just, the more time goes on, the more my brain is like, how did you lose it? Because Adelaide at that stage were 0-4. So it's not like the Crows had come out of the blocks and looked good. They were off the back of some humdingers as well. I mean, the 6 point against Gold Coast now looks pretty good. To be honest, the Geelong game, the Fremantle game, I think at the time really did make us think, Jesus, they're shed. But that one there really did hurt. And then Essendon obviously beat them the next week in Adelaide Oval, which then kind of like makes you think, how did you lose at the Marvel to these boys? But that was probably the first warning signs for the Blues, in the terms of, you could see that they really went into that game expecting centre dominance and to win it from that. And they won the stoppage clearances. They won the clearances overall. They drew with the centre clearances. You really did see that. And Carlton got peppered from that real high forward press, which has now been adapted to a more deeper one with a little bit of pressure, which is really exciting. But that is definitely one of them ones that I do look at and go, how did we lose? And then the next one is probably the Geelong and the Collingwood one. The Collingwood one did break me because that was a complete breakdown of everything we knew. The Geelong one is one of them games that you will see quite a lot in finals, but you also see quite a lot throughout the AFL towards the back end of the 4, where you may be 50-50 all game, have your chances to win. And it reminded me of the St Kilda loss we had last year, where I look at that game, I watched it back the other day, and I'm just like, Jesus, Geelong were there for the taking. So there is definitely them losses there that we will look at and probably bite ourselves. And then the Sydney game, we were just absolutely outclassed. And again, we went really with that stoppage-heavy game plan, and it backfired. So it does show to me that the Adelaide game saw a shift in how we set up defensively in the forward line. The Collingwood game definitely showed how we acquit ourselves in situation. And the Sydney game has definitely shown, really underlined, that just focusing on the stoppage and clearance gives you a very one-dimensional side, and being a little bit more aggressive defensively has paid dividends since then. So I'm content with results. Like I say, I expected us to be this stage here. It was just 2 of the losses I didn't have. The Geelong and the Adelaide one I didn't foresee, and that's okay. That's okay. We're all wrong. We all learn in our failures. Team makeup. You know what? I think with the vibes of all the injuries and stuff, I think the team makeup has actually been really good. And you know what? I'm really enjoying the selection recently. I might be the only one. I could be. Do you know what I mean? I probably am the only one at times. But I've really liked it. And I think the opportunity that it's presented young footballers at the football club to embrace, to jump up, to be better, to really take the game on has really showcased. And it's been really good to see from the boys, right? To see the boys. They have really taken their role. And I don't think any of the players that we're missing per se have really hurt us long term. I think that these players have actually come in, particularly like players like Lidge, who I think would have been fed into the team. He's had to come in and play straight away. That really excites me. So I actually think the team makeup now is in a better place. And I think the best way, you know, when everyone says, oh, we've got a deep list, and then they end up having 2 injuries all year, but they still tell you it's a deep list because their state league side finished top 4, and you're like, no one cares. We've actually had to test our depth, and you know, ironically, we've probably had 4 or 5 players now that are locked into the best 22, that at the start of the year we were like, we're going to have to wait and see. So that's really made me happy. In the back end of the year now, we have a fixture list where I'm not downplaying who we are because you've still got to go in and play. But I think there's great opportunities there to get your boys rolling into the system and getting some game time back and maybe starting to rotate. We see Geelong do this. We saw Brisbane do it like this. It's a real big thing for me where I feel that it's important that we can maybe rest and give these prolonged breaks because it is going to be a heavy, congested final series. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go here. And the vibes, I've got to say, you boys and girls at home have been sensational. I've really felt the energy. You know, I'm an energy boy. And in the watch-alongs particularly, I've really felt that vibe. Out in Twitter, in the socials, I think genuinely everyone is fairly positive of the Blues. And I think that's a real strong thing. But more so, I think the vibes from the players, you can really see that centre of belief. There's a little bit of things that I look for. And I said this about Collingwood last year. There was something really, really, really positive about when they played, they'd get a spoil. Everyone's ruffling their hair. The way they talked in the media, there was a togetherness. And I see two teams this year that I think really transcend that. Sydney, I was watching their game recently against Adelaide. Errol Goulding running up to players, loving tackles and things like that. They were celebrating the little wins, even though they were 30 points down. And I've seen that from our Blues. There is a real sense of togetherness and there's a real sense of, you know what, I've kicked the goals, but you made that tackle in the halfback. I'm going to thank you for it. And you see that with the way they get around Fogarty and Pom Cotter and players like that. That's a real big incidental, I think, that makes you a good side. And that's what makes me excited. And you look at the run home. Carlton have one of the easier run homes. They have the easiest run home in the top 8. And that is a big thing. Now, that doesn't mean they're guaranteed wins, right? Don't put words in my mouth. I don't want some rival fan clip this and be like, oh, Pom said Carlton are going to steamroll home, right? I think Carlton dropped 2 games of the run home, right? But I think we dropped 2 games on the run home, right? There I've said it. You can clip that. If we lose 4, okay. If we lose 3, it doesn't count. I'll count 4 to bully me for that statement. 3, I don't. 1 is good enough. Close enough, near enough is good enough, right? But I look at the run home and I think that the run home is a real positive one here because the hard work, usually at this stage, historically, teams that are in with a chance to win a final have ironed on their system. We've load tested our system against some of the top best sides. 6th on average from 0 to now we have played. And that is a real big positive for me because that means the Blues have had to load test what they're good at against strong opposition. And now we're in a situation where I don't want to hear nonsense like, how do we stop this player? Change the narrative. How do they stop our player? If we do what we do, how do they stop us? Because that is now what the AFL think. It's no longer, okay, they've got Sam Walsh and Cripps. If they manage to kick a fluky one to Curnow, he kicks 6. Now there is some real stars in this side and there's some real workhorses. So I'm really bullish here. I'm willing to lock in top 4. And that's all you need. I think there is nothing that you can tell me that tells me that we're not top 4. After the route we've had, particularly over the last 6 weeks, I think that showcases that we can match it with the best. And now it's about just carrying it on, going game by game. We've got a real big game this weekend against Geelong. And I think whoever wins that is the favourite to get second. I think second is the aim. I think Sydney, their lead now, even if they have a little blip, makes it very hard to stop them and catch them. But I think they're stoppable in finals. I think now this is it. This is like almost a second, third place playoff for that ladder position. And we know how important that run is at home. Because I feel the Blues having a run home in the finals in Melbourne, we saw what happened last time. And I think we're a massive threat. And I know opposition fans will say, oh, you haven't won a flag. Do you know what I mean? Who cares about VHS and shit like that? Like, come on, show me a bit of respect. You never hear me talk about 95. I couldn't give 2 less of a shit. It's 2024. Talking about 2024, we're definitely in with a shout, and I can't wait to be able to win a flag. I can't believe, and this is as good as a chance as any, and I think we're confident. I think we're confident in them. They're confident themselves. I'm really, really bullish. So for me, this is a big game. I'm looking forward to doing the Geelong preview with you all. Let me know what your vibes are at the halfway point. Let me know. Can't wait to get stuck into football again. Peace, love and light. Pom out.
see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.